Hey, this is Donald Tardy. I'm driving and you're watching Loud TV. Look out!
Thank you, Donald. So you are in your car I bet you are in Florida, right?
I am in Florida and it's blue skies and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Just a nice, warm, sunny day.
Wow. This is not the case in Europe, actually.
Yeah.
It's cold, but we are warm with your new album.
Oh, yes.
It's fantastic. Dying of Everything. It's out in 2 weeks now, early January. And so, first of all, I'd like to know what about your US tour that was finished something like a few days ago, right?
Yeah, it was incredible. We were fortunate and very lucky and very proud to be a part of that tour. Amon Amarth is a powerhouse right now. They are selling tickets and fans are paying attention. Good friends of ours. We toured with them 15 years ago. So when they invited us, we definitely jumped on the opportunity because we know that, Amon fans, they're heavy metal fans, but I don't think they're really necessarily death metal fans in general. Yeah. And so we knew we were going to have heavy metal fans watching, but we also knew there'd be a lot of new eyeballs on us. And so that was a very specific decision to take that tour, and we knew it was going to be a great tour. And my God, Carcass was on the tour, one of my favorite bands on the planet.
Great. Yeah, you're right. Amon Amarth, I know them also, and yeah, it seems that there are some heavy metal fans, and it's wide open, and especially in Europe also they are a great audience.
Yeah, and hats off to them because the amount of effort, the amount of money spent on production, the commitment that they have, the execution of just everything, and all their crew members, and getting that stage set up, and pulling it off properly. It was wonderful. It was a great experience. I'm a fan. I watched every night. It was just a really cool tour.
Did you try to ride the drag car?
Yeah, I was rowing.
So the new album is out in 2 weeks. After all these years, do you feel stressed before the release of a new baby?
Absolutely not. I could not be more excited. I mean, we know with the pandemic, everything got put on hold. The whole world, not just music, but Obituary really got put on hold, like everybody else, because the last time we were in Europe was with the Slayer tour, and that was so long ago that we were hoping to finish Slayer, get an album completed, and get back over to Europe while the fire was still burning and all the Slayer fans were talking about Obituary, and then of course it got shut down. So this album's been finished for 2 years. We've been sitting on a final product for 2 years because of Europe and for Europe. It was a very easy decision for my brother and myself to say, this is painful, guys, but we are not putting this album out until Europe is open, because they're the ones that deserve it the most. We haven't been there in nearly 5 or 6 years, and we want it to be proper, and we want them to be able to experience Obituary live when this album comes out.
After all, it's only 6 years after the previous one, so yeah, I would say it's in the middle of your career,
Yeah.
So the album was written in the quarantine, right?
Kind of. Obituary is not that band to put an album out every year or even every other year. So we write, we write ideas, we jot down ideas, guitar riffs, ideas for songs, drum ideas, and we just tuck those in our back pockets. And over the years, then we have ideas when we start the writing process. And that's basically what we did. We had many ideas for this new album when we were finishing up the American tour. But then when the pandemic hit, we realized, now we have time. Now we can actually focus on these songs. We can dissect them and make sure that they're good. Make sure they're as good as they can possibly be before we hit record. And so we did that. We had the luxury of enough time to really make sure these songs were as good as they possibly could be.
So did you recorded at Redneck Studio, right?
Yeah. So for the last three recordings, we have this great chemistry now with, we record it here at Redneck Studio. It's my brother's home. We've been here for going on 25 years. So we just simply record the music here. Then we take those files and we send them to our engineer, who's our live guy. He's been our live sound engineer for 15 years, Joe Sincata. He's up in New York City at Full Force Studio, and so we send him the audio files, and he does his magic. And we have a great chemistry with Joe. He's been mixing us live for 15 years, and so many people that have seen Obituary live, they're like, "How can you guys sound so good live?" And yes, we pat ourselves on the back for being a band that plays tight. But Joe is a magician at what he does. He's a master, and so for the self-titled album and this album, we sent him the files, and together we have a great chemistry, and we're just pumping out some great productions. Albums are not easy. It's not easy to take what's in your mind and get it onto an album. It's a very big challenge. Playing your instrument well, getting the sound of your snare drum or your guitar tones that you want, that's one thing. But to get all that magic, all that ideas onto the recording, and then allow the engineer, the producer to capture it and not to lose any of that magic. It's not the easiest thing. And now with 11 albums, we're finally figuring it out.
Anything specific about this recording in studio or?
The main thing we did, which a lot of bands don't do, is all I asked Joe to do was to keep it real. I love the sound of Trevor's guitar, straight from the amp, one microphone, not a bunch of blended microphones and different takes and a bunch of layers. It was one take, one microphone on that amp, and we asked Joe to keep it that way. Same thing with my snare drum. I love my Yamaha. It's my Yamaha bamboo snare. Everybody that hears it live, they're like, "What the hell snare is that? It sounds great." It's my Yamaha bamboo, and so I told Joe, I love the sound of it. Don't mess with it. Let's keep it as live as we can. We're a live band. Let's keep this production as live as we can, and don't quantize it till tomorrow. Don't sound replace all the toms and snare drums. Just keep it live.
Yeah, we can feel it's live, kind of live recording.
Kind of live with his magic. Yeah.
And it seems that we are in the rehearsal room with you guys.
Good. That's the best compliment we can get, because there's a lot of bands that are putting out awesome productions, but it clearly is chopped up and fixed and perfectly processed, and that's just not Obituary. We're happy to keep it grimy and dirty and real. Yeah, Ken wrote 2 songs on the self-titled album. One of them we gave to Decibel Magazine, one song for their flexi disc. So it didn't actually get on the album, but Ken did write 2 songs for the last album. But this album, Ken and I really focused on the idea that Ken's a part of this band now, and he takes that extremely serious. He gets very nervous. Are the fans of Obituary going to like my song? Because he's not a death metal guy. When we were growing up to Celtic Frost and Hellhammer and Venom, Ken was a Slayer guy, and he was speed metal and thrash metal. So he still brings those elements, but he knows he's got to make it Obituary like. And we had a really fun time, he and I, writing the 2 songs that we wrote together for this album.
And there are tons and tons of solos, guitar solos. With
yeah,
maybe on every song, right?
Really cool. Yeah, which is great because Ken's old school. He's the newest member of the band, but he's been in the band for 11 years now. He's the second oldest guy in the band. So he's old school, and he loves the old Metallica and the Slayer solos, and just back and forth. And he's a student of guitar. He loves learning. He's constantly watching videos and practicing and learning his guitar more and more. So yeah, having Ken in the band, and those are Obituary solos, man. Those are like what Alan West used to do meets James Murphy with Ken's own flavor in it, and it's just a fantastic mixture.
By the way, I was wondering, what about James Murphy? Do you have any news?
I mean, he's still here somewhere in Central Florida, but I don't keep in touch really much with him. I really don't keep in touch with anybody. I'm a homebody. I stay home when I'm not on tour.
With the alligators, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the album is really fast. It's like a no intro, just in your face album. And yeah, it's really great. You know that
Yeah.
we can feel, yeah, as the first notes, you can feel the Obituary spirit.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm usually the one in the band that puts everything together, meaning when we go on tour, it's usually me racking my brain, thinking about the set list. What songs can we play off each album? How many minutes on stage? Same thing when we're finished with the record and we have 10 songs. Then you have to put it in an order, the song order. And I don't want to say it's as important, but that is so important for an album, for it to flow, for people to experience it the way you want them to experience it. And it's funny how you comment that it's fast. Can you imagine if we started this new album with that last song on the record, which is the slowest, heaviest, epic, probably song Obituary has ever written? If we would have started the album like that, people would have said, you guys are really going deep and you're going very slow and serious. But we knew when we were finished with the album and we heard the final mix of Barely Alive, the first song, I told the band, I said, I don't care what you guys say. I'll fight you all day today. I'll fight you all day tomorrow. I'll fight you all week. Barely Alive's the first song on their record. It's been over 5 years, and we're gonna punch everybody right in the face, right from the get go. And everybody agreed. I mean, there's no question. It's a great first song. There's no long intro. There's no build up. There's no acoustic thingy. There's no sound effects. It's just boom, go. And it's the fastest, technically, in techno's drumming terms for the people reading this or listening to it, is beats per second. It's the fastest beats per minute, BPMs. It's the fastest beat per minute I have ever attempted at double bass, and proudly say that it's right up there. And at 52 years old, why I decided to go this speed, I have no idea what I was thinking, but it was fun.
So you're, yeah, healthy, and
Yeah.
any, because you are going to tour in Europe, any specific yeah, something that you, because at this moment we're in Christmas, we can
Yeah.
eat every day, you can
Yeah.
pick 10 pounds for
Yeah.
in 2 weeks. So any specific before a tour?
I mean, all I try to do is I just try to keep in shape. That's staying active in life. A lot of Obituary fans know that when I'm home, I take care of homeless cats. So my routine every day, I walk nearly 4 miles a day when I take care of the colonies. I get in my 8,500 steps every day. There's no question. But I'm here at the studio, if not 6 days a week, 7 days a week, and that's just practicing, playing my drums, keeping my chops up, and being prepared for the tour. And that's really all I'm doing through this Christmas season. I tried to stay away from family and not eat too much potatoes and gravy. and again, just staying active and being prepared for this tour.
So you're still active with your association, a nation, right?
With the cats,
Yeah.
yeah, the Metal
Is it
Meowlicia. that's just, and all it is in my community where I live in my neighborhood, there's homeless cats all around Florida, all on the in the southern, part of the United States, anywhere near the equator on this planet, because I've been to many countries now. There's homeless cats, and so in my neighborhood, around my house, in my community, I take care of homeless. I get them fixed so they don't keep breeding, and the population problem doesn't explode. And that's what I do. And then cats develop colonies, and they live behind bowling alleys and churches and apartment complexes and restaurants. And so I just provide them with fresh water and food every night before I eat my dinner. So I'm like a delivery guy. I just go, I do a 2 hour route of driving around and making sure my colonies have fresh water and food.
Let's go back to this album, and especially the artwork, which is kind of new for, I would say, an Obituary album. It's a painting by Maris Lewandowski, who sadly passed away this year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Andreas Marshall, the German artist, has done the majority of Obituary albums since the Incomplete. And he was not available when we started talking album cover artwork, and he was not going to be available for this album. So, what are you going to do besides start asking, looking, searching? And it was Maurice's his art, his beautiful, evil, amazing, mystical, powerful artwork that I saw it and I was like, this guy, this painting, they're so amazing, they're so epic, they're so, and yet so beautiful at the same time. So it was simply his talent that we wanted, and so the record label reached out to him. We were very, very pleased that he knew who Obituary was. He was excited that we asked him to be the artist, to illustrate to paint something specific for Obituary. And the minute he said yes, I had multiple email conversations with him, and I asked him what did he want from the band, and he was very specific. He wanted to see some of John's lyrics. He wanted to see the song titles. He wanted the album, which was really cool. And this was quite a while ago. He wanted to listen to the songs, and he said, I want the songs to tell me what I'm going to paint. And then when he was just kind of thinking, a couple weeks went by, and my brother and that's when we decided to name the album Dying of Everything. So I emailed him and I said, we have decided to name this album Dying of Everything. And he said, that gives me great focus and great direction. So the minute he said that, I said, do your magic. I know you'll deliver us something beautiful. And he did. I mean, I'm so proud of that piece of artwork. It's just incredible. It's oil painting, which does make it different. And just the colors and the feel is different than Obituary albums. And that's good timing. I mean, we're 33 years into a career, and to have something different like that for our catalog, it's wonderful. It's spectacular. And then sadly he passed away. That was really sad, because I would have loved to have met him in person and shake his hand and tell him how proud we are. But the good thing is he was a part of the album's design, because the painting's a long painting, and he was the one that suggested what part of the painting, which we agreed. And so at the very least, he knew what the album was going to look like. And he also knew that the band was absolutely blown away by what an amazing piece of art that he delivered to us, and that we were proud to call that an Obituary album cover.
The title is, can we say that your brother was kind of inspired by everything about quarantine and all the illness,
yeah. you would think that, but here's a very interesting the truth about the album title. My girlfriend, who I've been with for going on 23 years, who the band has known for 33 years. I've known her since I was 16 years old. She was one of the first people coming to Executioner shows. She's a metalhead. She was stage diving off our stages when in the 80s. That's how long the relationship has been with my girlfriend Heather. So she's a writer. She writes poems, and she always helps us with like the biography of the band. And every time we need something she always is there to help me. Um, so she wrote this 2 years before the pandemic even hit, and it was just a poem. She, like many people on this planet, she battles um, just stress, anxiety, depression, um, all kinds of things, like a lot of people. But she's a amazing writer, and she said she woke up one night, and she just opened her eyes, and through the window of our upstairs where the bedroom is, the moon was coming through the window, and she just wrote down, it was just a very quick poem, and she read it to me, and in that poem, um, she referred to dying of everything. I don't know exactly the words, but she's very dark when she writes some very dark, depressing stuff, which a lot of poems are. And um and she just kind of, she was talking to the moon, and she was asking a fictitious person if the moon knew who she was, and if she died, would it even know she had existed on this planet? And anyway, a long story. In the poem, she said something like, "If I can't keep living, can I begin to die?" And then she said, I can't think of the second to the last line, but then she said, "Dying of everything." Um, and that struck a chord with me. I was like, "That's so brilliant." But this was 5 years ago that she wrote the poem, so it's very strange that I found it, because I saved the poem in my phone. And when my brother was working on one of Ken's songs, he was saying in the song certain syllables, and the syllables that he was saying was, "Will you come out and play?" And I was reading at that time. I was reading Heather's poem, and it said, he was saying, "Come out and play." And I told him, "Dying of everything. Will you come out and play? Dying of everything." And John used it in the song, and it ended up being the title of the album. And I'm sorry that was a long explanation of it, but
No, thank you.
um, it's a cool thing. It's a wonderful poem. She made a very long version of it at one point, but then that one night she said she wrote it down within 5 minutes, and it was just, it struck a chord with me, and it was beautiful and evil and sad all at the same time. And "Dying of Everything" became the title of this album, and I'm proud that she was a part of it, because, like I said, she's been a part of merchandise designs of ours, clever um, paragraphs that we needed for some of those live streams. She redid our biography, whatever, 18 years ago when we needed it rewritten. She helped me with that. So she's always been there to help us with just very cool creative stuff for Obituary. So there's your answer for the title of the album.
Wonderful. Would you ever go back to this cartoonish?
We don't, I'm not sure. We don't know. Like, we decided, as everyone has seen, we decided for a music video for this album, which was The Wrong Time, which we have not done a music video since probably when Ralph was in the band. I think the song "Evil Ways" was the last time Obituary did a music video where we're playing in front of a camera crew. And so for this album, the single that we put out, "The Wrong Time," we decided to make a music video for it. But never say never, because the cartoons are fun. The issue with the cartoons are, it's a 6 month process, because you have to come up with a storyboard. And my brother and I think we did a great job with Balaj, the cartoonist, coming up with great stories. Those first two, I mean, amazing stories. I'm a fan of them, because I love I love his cartoon. I love his art and how funny he can make us. But the magic that my brother and I writing all those storyboards with him, and the three of us laughing at each other's ideas. I would say one thing, Balaj would take it to another level, and then my brother would say something where we're like, "Oh my God, are we really going to do this?" And that was fun. So never say never, but we've been so busy. Obituary, we've done 140 shows since the pandemic opened again in just America and South America. So So never say never with a cartoon, but that's a long time. It's always a long time in the makings.
Yeah. Um, this is the end of the year. Do you have do you listen to metal, and do you have maybe a top three for this year?
I don't listen to like if you ask me what albums that came out this year that I would have to. I'm I'm just that guy where I still listen to the old stuff. I still have Holy Diver in my CD player. I still listen to old Alice in Chains when I'm listening to it, or some Chris Cornell and Soundgarden. And if it's not that, it's my root. It's back to my roots. I love Leonard Skinner and Blackfoot and the Outlaws and Southern rock.
And
So
Corrosion of Conformity, right?
yes, and COC. Reed Mullen is one of my favorite drummers, and was literally one of my favorite people that I got to hang out with a couple times. What a beautiful human being. Miss him tremendously. And yes, I still listen to COC literally on a daily basis when we're on tour. It gives me inspiration. Reed's drumming is what I wish I was. He's so fluid, but also so solid, even though he swings as a drummer. It's just great. It's just fantastic.
So next step is a European tour with Trivium.
Yeah, and Heaven Shall Burn and Malevolence. I'm excited about Malevolence because I was unfamiliar with Malevolence from the UK, and so of course when my agent told me that band Malevolence, of course I searched them and watched some videos, and they're heavy as shit. They're like killer. So I'm excited about that, and of course Trivium, Florida guys, our Florida friends, them inviting us, we're very excited about that. They're good friends of ours, and it will make for a very fun tour for us.
So we'll see in Paris, right?
Yes, you will. And then, of course, this is just the beginning. We know this is Obituary as a support band for the first time over there in 6 years. So you can only imagine how busy our schedule is going to be. And Europe is the majority of the focus for 2023 and 2024, because this new album is a very well done album. We're very proud of it, and we cannot wait for the fans to get it in their hands, but more importantly, to get to Europe multiple times these next 2 years and really, really have fun with our European friends, because, man, we haven't been there in a long time.
Great. Thank you very much, Donald.
You're very welcome. I hope that if I see you, or if I'm in the venue and you're there in Paris or somewhere in France, please come find me and my brother, and let's have a cold beer together.